Cambodia, 15 million people, some urban, but most, more than 70% rural. Unilever Cambodia, the country's leading FMCG marketing company. The brief: engage rural Cambodians in ways relevant to them, based on specific local insight, to build 10 Unilever home care, personal care, and food brands. We started with a quest for insight, for if we were to tell brand stories in rural Cambodia, we should learn how rural Cambodians tell stories. In a study we did of 200 fairy and folk tales from around the world, we found that more than 2/3 had happy endings. But in Cambodia, the opposite was true. Amongst 100 Cambodian tales we explored, 2/3 ended unhappily. We explored this more. Two salient themes emerged. In rural areas, deeply held beliefs persist that fate, rather than autonomous individual actions, will determine outcomes. As individuals, we are disempowered. Rural Cambodians are deeply scripted in negative expectations. As shown in their ancient fairy tales, fate will decide. And more often than not, fate will decide for the worse and not for the better. We then built on our agency's belief, a belief that just as great art is not a mirror to reflect reality, but a hammer to shape it. So too, great brand communication does not show people what is, but what could be. So instead of building on and underlining our insight, we elected to subvert it entirely. Hence, we created the Unilever Rural Integrated Community Experience, All Rice, a massive, widespread event which would capture the imagination of a nation, not by lecturing them, but by engaging and entertaining them, not by talking at people, but by involving them, not by getting in the way of what people want to watch, but by being what they want to watch, not by reflecting things the way they are, but the way they could be. We set up 5 roving teams, each with 23 people and 5 vehicles, with a goal to cover 400 locations in just 15 weeks. Each location kicked off with a morning market activation, sampling and sales, Knorr for cooking, clear shampoo for hair washing, Viso Possess laundry powder for stunning white clothes, to mention just 3. And whilst conducting the morning markets, we put out word to invite people to the evening show. Then we moved to schools and colleges, oral care lectures, games and demos for junior schools, and hair and beauty tips for older college girls who were also invited to participate in a Miss Beauty contest that evening. And again, word spread about the evening show. In the evening, we set up a large stage and screen, surrounded by 8 brand booths for sampling, games and sales. On the stage itself, there was a large screen and our centerpiece, the movie, Magic Love Doesn't Win. Written by our own creative and leading Cambodian screenplay writer, we see a complex love quadrangle develop between 2 men and 2 women, set against a backdrop of typical Cambodian scenes. A rural village preparing for a festival, rural homes, an urban work environment in a garment factory in which rural people are employed, and rented accommodation in the city. From the start, expectations of sad outcomes are established. We meet Piche, a humble, poor, but hard-working man who loves Dina, herself a beautiful woman and school teacher who dreams of love and family, but suffers a quick temper. But we also find Coco, an arrogant, wealthy, but ultimately lonely man who also loves Dina. Jealous of Piche, he seeks a lucky charm from Chani, a quick-witted, clever, but mischievous woman. She gives him a lucky perfume, which in fact stinks. We see a series of comedic misunderstandings, in which Coco repels instead of charms Dina, in which Chani is then punished by fate for her naughtiness and her family falls on hard times, and in which Pichet comforts Chani, but is seen by Dina and assumed wrongly to be having an affair with her. Thus, the first section of the film ends in disarray, with the big question on Pichet's lips: should I still chase my love for Dina, or give up and look for another woman? And now the twist. The film is stopped and the audience asked to vote on how the protagonists should act. It is up to them, and depending on how they vote, one of the 2 follow-on episodes is then screened. 3 times the audience gets to vote, giving a possible 8 permutations of the story, which moves from rural to urban setting and shows the struggles and growing wisdom of the key players in each of the various scenarios. Throughout the film, we see Unilever brands acting as catalysts and facilitators of improved outcomes. Knorr helps with food moments, Sunsilk with hair, and Pond's with complexion, Signal with a winning smile, Viso and Comfort for clean, fragrant clothes. In each case, these serve to remove possible obstacles to progress for the characters. Ultimately, no matter which pathway is selected from the 8 permutations, the story ends happily, with each protagonist finding their love. During the voting intervals, time is also available for moments of light relief. The highly involving Miss Beauty hair contest, for example, with contestants selected earlier in the day, or games and prizes, ever popular. At the end of the movie, fate stands defeated. The outcome rests in the hands of the audience, and negative expectations are confounded, as all live happily ever after. All helped along the way by Unilever's brands. Over 15 weeks and 400 shows, over 800,000 people attended our movie. Cost per contact per brand beat KPIs, delivering just 9 cents. And so great was the word of mouth that when we approached the country's leading TV station, after the activation was conducted, they ran the movie for free. And then a sister station asked to run the movie again in prime time, and again for free. We agreed. From a nationwide audience of 2 million, people SMS'd in their votes on who should do what next in each break. And Rice moved from empowering and captivating audiences locally to doing so across the nation's countryside and cities too. The results were staggering. 800,000 direct contacts, 2 million broadcast contacts, average top-of-mind awareness of the 10 brands rose from 33.6% amongst those in a controlled cell not exposed to the activity to a stunning 52.6% among those who attended the activity. Meanwhile, in-home usage of brands, verified by physical pantry checks, rose from 40.6% control to 60.8% amongst exposed. Image and empathy also soared. For example, on the Fights Cavities attribute, Signal saw its top box score rise from 7% to 19%, and top 2 box from 46% to 73%. Whilst on Sunsilk, to take another example, we saw the Black Shine attribute rise from 9% top box to 16%, and top 2 boxes move from 54% to 72%. Unilever Rice, bringing entertainment to surprise and subvert convention. 800,000 direct contacts at a cost per contact of just 9 cents per brand. 2 million broadcast contacts at a cost per contact of 0. Yes, 0. Brand image, usage, and empathy are all well up. Unilever Rice. On location, on net, on air. The power of integration.